My name is Lucas Sin. I'm the chef of Junzi Kitchen and Nice Day. Today we're making Furu Sesame Noodles. Let me tell you why the sesame sauce is awesome. It's going to be based off of this really high quality sesame paste made with nothing but ground sesame, and then we're going to add a sort of like secret umami component to it, which is furu, or fermented tofu. Together, that's what makes Furu Sesame. On top of that, we're going to layer light soy sauce for sodium, dark soy sauce for color, a little bit of Sichuan Peppercorn Oil for a little bit of a tingle, sesame oil to stretch it out and give it a little bit more fragrance, and the whole noodle dish is going to be topped off with chili oil, scallions, and toasted sesame seeds. Sesame sauce is what we're here for today. We're going to start off by making sure that everything that needs to be dissolved is dissolved. So salt and sugar are going to go into the bowl first. I'm going to go for 3 tablespoons of sugar and half a tablespoon of salt. We don't need so much salt because there's soy sauce involved. Half a cup of water is going to go into the bowl, and we're just going to whisk it until all of the granules are dissolved. Okay, everything's nice and dissolved after 5 seconds or so. Next thing we're going to add is everything else that's in the recipe. Sesame paste is the first thing. Here is the brand that we prefer. You can get this in Chinatown in a smaller container. We get it commercially. The reason why I like this sesame paste is because it's so heavy in the sesame flavor. Again, there's nothing in here that's not sesame. There's no peanut oil to stretch it out or anything like that. So when you're looking for a high quality sesame paste, or even tahini, if you're not going to a Chinese supermarket, then just make sure that you read the ingredients and make sure that there's nothing in there except for sesame. Half a cup here, which is 4 ounces. Of course, we're whisking everything together with our hands right now, but feel free to do this with a blender. We're gonna add the soy sauce in now. 4 tablespoons of light soy. This is where most of the sodium and the savoriness comes from. I'm just using Chinese light soy sauce, but anything that's marketed as regular soy sauce will do as well. And we're gonna do half a tablespoon of dark soy sauce. Apologies for the commercial brand again. This one not too much because it's mostly for color. Now to balance out all of that sweetness, 2.5 tablespoons of black vinegar. This is aged Chinese black vinegar, rice vinegar. If you don't have this, balsamic will work for you at home too. 4.5 tablespoons of sesame oil. This is the stuff that's gonna be the main aromatic driver here. This is what we call furu, also known as fermented tofu or fermented bean curd. There are some types that are spicy, there are some types that are red, there are some types that are extra funky, some that are fermented with roses. They're all different. The one I prefer here is the red type. This one, it's called dakwai furu, which is, it means large chunks. But it's basically fermented tofu. It's ridiculously delicious because it's so savory. It's almost cheese-like. So we're gonna put 1 block in here. If you really like this flavor, you can add a 2nd block, but 1 block is where I would start, and then 1.5 or 2, depending on how we go. Now that everything is inside of your bowl, the first thing you want to do is you want to target your furu, and you want to mash it up to make sure it comes out into little pieces. And then we're gonna do this little thing called emulsification. We're gonna keep whisking it, and obviously using a blender here is easier, but you want to whisk all of it until it comes together into one mass. You see how it's still split up like this? It's not ready to go yet. Keep going. If you had a food processor, if you had a sanding blender, all of this would be a lot easier. And here's this, for me the secret, is Sichuan Peppercorn Oil. So Sichuan Peppercorn Oil is most common in Sichuan cuisine. It'll give it a little bit of this like citrusy buzz. It's kind of hard to get in some parts of the US, so feel free to skip this. But now that we have access to it, I'm gonna give it probably about a tablespoon or a teaspoon or so, just because it's gonna give it another little bit of an edge. Keep whisking until it's come together. Now, depending on how loose your sauce is, we can adjust the seasoning in a bit. We can adjust the flavor, we can adjust the color, because we know exactly what all of the elements of the sauce do. Okay, that's pretty close. So you can see here, it's a little bit too watery for me, so I'm gonna add a little bit more sesame paste to give it a little bit more texture. And it's also a little dark for me, so I'm hoping that some of the sesame paste will thin it out, but we'll taste it later to make sure it's good. So it's emulsified, let's taste it, make sure it's good, check your work. Not bad, pretty good. Before we go off to cook these noodles, just cook them according to your package instructions. I like them with thin wheat or flour noodles. These are northern Chinese style noodles that we make here at Junzi, but any sort of flour noodle will do. If you wanted to go Shujia Fuzhou route, you might make this with an egg noodle, a bouncy, wider egg noodle. Any type of noodle really work. These noodles we're using are par cooked, so it's just a couple of seconds. We're gonna put a little bit of sauce on the bottom and a little bit of sauce over the top. So, just a ladleful on the bottom. Noodles are here. We made a lot of sauce, at least enough for 2 people, but let the strands do the work as you're dropping it in. Kind of fold it over. Generous amount of sauce over the top. Sesame seeds for texture, and just tell people that it's made of sesame. Spring onions. And a generous amount of chili oil. This here is Junzi Black Label, but your favorite chili oil will do. The spiciness really helps balance out everything that's going on with the sweetness and the savoriness of the sesame sauce, so I like to give it a lot. There you go.